The DEA calls it the deadliest drug threat our country has ever faced. Boston 25 News reporter Drew Caritas first told us about tranq last fall. And Drew, several of the people you spoke with tonight had friends die due to this Narcan resistant drug.
Mark, the latest data from a state-funded collaborative tracking program shows that about a third of New England's illegal street drug supply is laced with xylazine, also known as tranq and the zombie drug. As you just mentioned, those we talked with tonight believe recent overdoses involving people they know are linked to this animal tranquilizer.
You might think you're getting heroin, but next thing you know, you die. It's a tranquilizer.
The new warning from federal authorities about an emerging public safety threat, fentanyl and other drugs mixed with the animal tranquilizer xylazine, is not a surprise to those who have dealt with recent overdose losses in the Boston area.
I know quite a few people that most likely passed away due to this new stuff.
Will Rivas tells us he just had 2 friends die last week and suspects the anesthetic approved for veterinary use with large animals is to blame.
It's just gonna get worse. More people are gonna die. You're gonna have more people migrate over here because they're gonna hear that people are dropping. Like I said, people want to get high when they hear people are dropping because they realize they think the effect is 10 times greater, which in reality it's not. It's just killing you.
Public health experts believe people are taking xylazine both unknowingly and intentionally because some people report that it lengthens the euphoric effects of fentanyl. Narcan, a crucial tool in saving lives in the opioid epidemic, is not effective with xylazine because it's not an opioid.
It's put my life in danger. Like when I woke up, it was like a shock, like a sense of something I can't explain.
I've had a few friends that are now 6 feet under because of the issue.
This woman, who says she recently got off the streets, found a job, and is trying to stay clean, tells us she's worried that the escalating danger isn't sinking in with those at greatest risk.
It's scary to just even think about it. I'm about to cry. If I poison somebody with rat poisoning, I go to jail for murder. So if you're gonna poison somebody with xylazine, you should be buried under the jail.
Repeated xylazine use is associated with skin ulcers and severe wounds, including the rotting of human tissue that can lead to amputation. Just last month, the FDA said it took action to prevent xylazine from entering the U.S. market for illicit purposes. We're live in Boston.
They finally came up with something that Narcan can't revive you from. That is scary for people that are addicted to opioids. It's very unfortunate that the drug epidemic, or whatever you want to call it, has gone this far. I mean, I remember growing up in the 90s. I'll be 40 this year, 2023. Growing up in the 90s, experimenting with drugs. I mean, most people that I knew, it was either weed. I mean, weed was baseline. Pretty much everyone that did anything smoked weed. Of course, cocaine was popular, alcohol. And then, you know, you had the harder drugs, crack, meth, which is still around. Crack's still around too. Heroin. But those were like, you know, a lot of people that I grew up with considered those like junkie drugs. And now, you know, none of these things are safe, you know, for people that are addicted. I mean, ever since fentanyl, which was still technically an opiate, I guess, because you could be revived with a Narcan from that. But fentanyl just infiltrated everything recently. I mean, it's just, I always joke around with people that I'm cool with. Like, I'm really glad that I didn't grow up in this time where you can't even experiment with drugs, because any little, you know, you mess around and get a bad batch, which nowadays it seems like it's just not even worth trying to get a good batch, because so much has fentanyl in it. You know, you hear about it all the time. 17-year-olds all the way up to 50, 60-year-olds. I was hearing about a story, some cases in New York recently, and I think this was a few years ago, but the person that they arrested them for, I guess, knowingly selling, listen to this, a 26-year-old lawyer, okay, another, I think the lady was in her late 20s, a social worker, and a guy like in accounting or finance or something like that in his 30s, all buying what they thought was cocaine. It was laced with fentanyl, and they all died. Professionals. That right there shows you that, I mean, and we've had actors, actresses, and of course our everyday person, our everyday lay person, just dying, thinking that they got a Percocet, thinking that they got a Roxy, thinking that they got cocaine, thinking that they got heroin, fentanyl. Now they got this tranq. Says that it can result in a flesh-eating disease that will require amputation. That reminds me of that drug that I was hearing about some years ago, called crocodile. Mostly, I think it was in like the Russian area, and people were basically like losing limbs. It was basically just killing their limbs, and they would have to get it amputated. And now here it is over here, and people are flocking to it. You heard the guy said that some people, they hear about the deaths and they want to try it because they think that that's the good stuff. And that's very unfortunate. And I don't know, I'm not one to bring up many conspiracies or try to prove anything for sure without evidence, but it's definitely a fishy situation to have an opioid epidemic that just keeps getting worse. And fentanyl, I mean, we pretty much know where it's coming from, the majority of it. I'm sure there's some being made here, but for the most part, we know where it's coming from, and really not stopping it. I mean, you can say can't, but I feel like they're just not stopping it. And now, I guess because so many people are able to be revived with the Narcan, now tranq, because it's not an opiate, Narcan is not going to work. Instant death. So this is just the state of recreational drug use. This is where it's gotten. You've even heard cases of fentanyl being in weed. That's why me personally, I don't buy anything that's not from a dispensary. I will not. If a state that I go to does not have a dispensary, I'm going to bring mine. And if that is not possible for whatever reason, then I'll just have to go without. Because there really just seems like no safe place to purchase recreational experiences outside of a legal dispensary. So we just got to keep ourselves safe out here. I hope that no one under the sound of my voice is currently suffering from any sort of opioid addiction. If you are, I surely hope that you can overcome that in whatever method or mechanism you need, because from what I understand, that is a very difficult thing to overcome, and it's almost better to just have it. But now, look at what you're dealing with. Fentanyl, trace amounts can kill you. Tranq can't even be resuscitated with Narcan. So it's not safe out here. So we got to be careful. Got to stay focused. Got to appreciate our freedom, appreciate our life, appreciate our potential, appreciate our family, appreciate ourselves, love ourselves, want more for ourselves, want better for ourselves. Until next time, take care, stay free.